from ourselves, from the divine feminine, is to really make it possible for yourself to be fully at peace with what's happening and what's happened for everything that's come before us. Divine mothers, divine feminine, divine sisters, will you help me reset this room in this space so that we're all fully on time and we're all fully in the sacred energy of recognizing what every person here completely knows. You would not be here if it weren't for a woman. For each of us. We would also not be here without our sacred earth below us. If it wanted to wash out the human race, it could do it in an instant. It doesn't need us. The earth is giving to us. It has kept these amazing sacred sites available. Amazing Egypt. We love taking people there because we see the difference it makes for their life. We love celestial beings communicating with you and through you as you. And Molly Ann is in the back of the room, and she can answer any questions about me, our trip. I'm going to do another talk because I want to honor each one of you guys, and I want to honor all that we've created together here in this room with this sacred presence. And so I'm going to pass the mic. Okay, lovely.
You all, Sarah is giving such a gift to this panel because she has an amazing, amazing resource of not only all the sacred geometry, and her trips to Egypt are such a gift and blessing. She's right now living the divine feminine to honor this panel and honor timing in the conference. And we told her, you don't have to cut your talk because it's awesome. Let's give her so much love. We were in here to see her talk. And we totally trust the divine. And Sarah, will you let us know before you pass it to us, because you are so important and you're such a huge part of today.
I'm sorry, I'm going to need a minute to exchange the DVD.
Perfect, yeah, so they need to exchange the DVD. But on the DVD, would you share with us about your website, about your miracle makings? Will you share with us more of all you do in the world, just about the gifts you give before you so graciously gift all of us? Love you, Sarah.
I'm going to stand back here so I'm with you guys. I'm so grateful to be able to share all of these gifts. Every Monday I have a group called Miracle Makers, and we make miracles. Marie is part of the group. She is our sacred food. There's quite a few women here. We eat to live. We bring these principles of making miracles. I believe there's more than enough for everyone. Heather and Jason have been to a Miracle Monday as well and gifted the community there as well. Miracle Mondays, we're manifesting, and we're manifesting the divine. I'm so grateful you're part of our group as well. The reason it's so beautiful is the frequency of whatever it is that you intend to create comes through that group. So things like a brand new car, house payments, apartment payments, physical things that you want in your environment show up, along with what I'm here to create is peace on earth, the activation of our DNA to be able to go travel, experience heaven, that heaven region here. So Miracle Makers is a group experience. Then we've got coming up a trip to the valley, how to change your thoughts and you can change your world. We've got flyers about that coming up this month. I lecture quite often, and all of that goes out from my newsletter, which is at my website, drsarahlarson.com. And I give gifts on a regular basis, from readings. Oh, I've got a Miracle Maker TV show on UBN Network, Sunset Gower Network. we have one of our co-hosts here as well. It's incredible for me to share all of these resources with you. Right now, we're on live with New Trust Media, World Trust Media, that is broadcasting this out to 1 million people. And I get to experience them on a regular basis. I wanted to make sure my sisters were seen and represented with this media company as well. So Miracle Mondays, regular classes, the website, and we are sponsoring people to go to Egypt with us. We have sponsorships. They're partial sponsorships. We're so dedicated to people coming with us that we're creating resources. The trip was originally $10,500. We've gotten at least $3,000 for every person that wants to come with us. So it's now at $7,000, and it will continue to fall as we find more people to be with us. The boat that we go on, the Affendina, is the same boat that Bill Gates was on, is the same boat that royalty travels on. We go to Disneyland, so to speak, these sacred sites, just by ourselves in a small group of 16 people. We do the rituals, we do the processes because of our commitment to humanity, to give the best content to the most people possible. And so with that, thank you guys.
Love you, Sarah.
Right, seamlessly we evolve into the Women's Consciousness panel. So welcome everyone. My name is Debra Giusti, and I'm extremely happy to host the Women's Consciousness Revolution panel. And this was an idea of Saeed's, and I was a yes, and this incredible group of women were gathered who are all really living, embodying, and are passionately forging and moving forward on the divine feminine. So it's been a really wonderful coming together, and we have a lot to share with you. And as you know, because you're sitting in this room, there's an amazing transfiguration happening on the planet now, or you wouldn't be in this room right now. And I would assume you're here because you sense it, you feel it, you have this inner knowing that you came to the planet on this time because you wanted to be a part of this. And it's not only witnessing this amazing transfiguration that's happening on the planet now, but deeply participating in it and accessing the spiritual transformation that can happen at this time during this accelerated place in the planet. And actually today, astrologically, is a perfect time for this panel. It is a full moon today, and it's 22 degrees the sign of Virgo with Venus retrograde. And according to astrological insight, this is a time when you can really feel your feminine power, and you can feel it as a planetary collective as well. The Virgo moon enhances your inner warrior to develop more self-worth, self-care, and healing, which are all principles of the feminine. So the time is now for the divine feminine to come into her power and really take back leadership and assist us grounding and manifesting the golden age we know is the new paradigm world that we came here to birth. And this means bringing back the feminine principles in order to restore the balance in our planet, which has been out of balance for hundreds of years, thousands of years, as compared to when women had a greater role in the planetary, and there was 1,000 years of peace and harmony. So this means bringing back the feminine values, and I just want to name some of them, such as living from the heart, such as incorporating nurturing and healing as a valued part of our daily world and society, including honoring the whole the whole community instead of pyramid structures, which our businesses and our societies are built on. And especially operating in the frequency of love. That's the most paramount, in the frequency of love. And we know this is happening now because we are having incredible demonstrative showing on our planet, such as the Women's March that happened in January, all over the world. It wasn't just a phenomenon of the United States, it was all over the world. And that's the feminine coming together and the unification, and the men joining in that feminine principle of coming together and taking a stand for the values that we hold very dear. And I also want to be clear, this is not just a women's empowerment conversation at all. It's not about women taking over the world by any means. It's about honoring the anchoring of the feminine principle. And we really invite the men to come into their sacred masculine so they can, in their deep sacred masculine, so they can support and honor and support the divine feminine leadership that's emerging now. And also find the feminine within them so they can find more balance within themselves. So these amazing 8 dynamic women are going to go deeper into this conversation around those principles. So we are going to start by allowing them all to have a few minutes to share who they are, what they're about, and what their take on the women's consciousness revolution is about, and really how it comes into their life and what they contribute to the world that allows this to come forward. And so we'll start with Valerie. Valerie is a Los Angeles-based emissary of peace. She's a galactic shaman, an evolutionary architect transmitting the galactic frequency since 2012. And she facilitates multidimensional healing sessions, consciousness workshops, sacred ceremonies since 2004, utilizing her diverse background. And she is co-creating the New Earth Blueprint, utilizing deep soul remembrance, as well as updating Star Nations codes and finalizing a new conscious software methodology that parallels human consciousness and optimizes decision-making. So, Valerie, you can start with us about your sharing on the Women's Consciousness Revolution.
Much, can you hear me? Thank you. Thank you, Saeed. I don't know if he's here, but thank you so much for having us and putting this together. And such a blessing to be here with all these amazing women. I spoke on Friday in the opening ceremony, and for me, the topic of this show is really about, they are among us, but we are them. We are the star people. And so we have all come back to assist in this planetary evolution, and this is a mission of peace, and so many of us who have awakened to that are here today. So thank you, and many watching at home. And so for me, it is this convergence of love, and I think that's so much about what the feminine brings, along with collaboration, is love. And from the heart, what we can do together is amazing. So thank you all for being here to share and co-create this field with us today. Thank you.
And now we're going to pass it on to Heather Powers. And Heather is an award-winning, internationally acknowledged singer-songwriter, recording artist, as well as an ordained minister and transformational coach. And she has recorded and toured with Grammy-winning artists all over the world. Her work is featured in movies and television for companies like Warner Brothers and Universal and Microsoft. Heather and her husband, Jason, are pioneers in new paradigm beloved partnership and family relationships focused on awakening. And so Heather, can you share with us your take on the women's consciousness revolution?
Yes, thank you guys. I'm the energy running through this room is like really intense, but I came from a very fundamental Christian background in conservative politics, and about 6 years ago I had a really ginormous shift. And to be here and see the awakening of not only women, but the feminine principle in all of us is really dynamic. And Jason and I do this specifically with working in relationship and divine partnership, breaking down these old paradigm structures between men and women and going deep into how many layers these old programs operate, really, without us even consciously recognizing it, and bringing love and acceptance and grace and compassion to these cellular memories that we have as we kind of collapse the old archetypes and move forward into a new way of being. And so we do this through music, we do this through, we travel doing sound healing, and we're working on a book that hopefully will be a gift to help men and women really move into a deeper, equally balanced relationship with each other. So.
And Michelle Anderson is an intergalactic peace ambassador, and she's the founder of a Circle of Radiant Love. And Michelle's heartfelt mission in life is to joyfully empower all to connect with Source and embrace our highest expression of ourselves. And she sees God in all things. She's an incredibly beautiful example of the radiant divine feminine in every moment that I know her. She courageously chooses to love radiantly, replaces unconditionally. Loving is her gift. She shares the role of mother, wife, community connector, inspirational guide, and intergalactic peace ambassador. She also leads groups to sacred spaces that lead people back to nature and with each other and Mother Earth. And Michelle.
Thank you. It is such a gift to be here with everyone today. This is a full circle moment for me, seeing these beautiful beings, all these women who I've met individually along the path since I popped awake into this intergalactic kind of place that we all find ourselves in. And I'm so grateful, Debra, that you said yes. I'm so grateful for Saeed to actually recognize the importance of this panel and all of these beautiful radiant sisters who came together. And I believe we're doing something multidimensional today. Thank you to each one of you who showed up and really felt that something's happening today with this energy of this full moon, with where we're all going. It feels like we're all leveling up. We're coming into conscious collaboration without competition. It's beautiful to see the way that we're all modeling this unity consciousness, and we're seeing that the path to peace is through evolving our species. And humanity is right now at the precipice of where the prophecies have pointed to, and we are in the fulfillment of the prophecies which lead to the 1,000 years of peace, as the Native American and indigenous tribes teach us. And I believe that this panel is representing that beautiful space where we're bringing through these loving energies, these nurturing energies, and anchoring in peace on earth and peace within all the intergalactic beings. So thank you to all who are here, thank you online, and thank you to all our star family who are with us today and all the ancestors. It's a blessing.
Thank you, Michelle. So Eden Clark is a trained shaman, psychic medium, and divine voice channeler. And before stepping into that path, she actually rose to success at a very young age as a CEO and co-founder of multiple million-dollar businesses, including one she helped take public at $240 million IPO when she was only 24 years old. And then she started studying extensively with the indigenous shamans in the Amazon jungle, known as the Master Shamans of the Quiero. And from that, she went through an awakening and a healing process and a re-remembering, and uncovered her gifts of multidimensional seeing, her ability to channel divine beings, and the power to reset her DNA to the core frequency of love. Today she's a channeler, and she shares direct source wisdom. She leads groups and trips to the Amazon with her husband in Peru and Bali to connect with the indigenous people and keepers of sacred sites, in addition to leading workshops locally in North San Diego County. So Eden, share with us your perspective on the women's consciousness revolution.
Thank you. What I see is first and foremost, we always hear that it takes what we do internally ourselves, because the world is tough. We each have traumas and wounds we've been through, and lessons and heartache and health crisis and everything else. And it, as we all know, it has to start within. So what is that shift that's happening within each of us? Again, man or woman, I don't see the difference. It's all to come back to that heart space as we all talk about. And to me, in my experience, going through, as mentioned, the corporate world, but before that, I was one of those ones who went through a lot of trauma as a child from, rape and abortions and everything else at a very, very young age. And coming through that to how do I now function in the world in what I deemed as healthy, but really it's survival. We all get into survival mode. None of us can deny that we don't get that way still sometimes. But how do we heal from that? How do we come through and come into this space where, wow, we can now create our reality and be in a space of love, no matter what traumas have happened to us? Or, as you mentioned, we get on this autopilot of how, not only archetypally, how have we been bred, so to speak, or trained to operate in the world, but really, how do we shift ourselves? And for me, it was going into the very linear, masculine corporate world, as Debra mentioned. And that functioned for me because it got me out of the wound and trauma, this deep trauma of the feminine that I just could not handle. And so I handled from a standpoint of it was too overwhelming to deal with. So coming full circle to me and what's happening now in the feminine is we are having to explore this dark side, the dark feminine, right? We all have it, and especially women out there who, I'm sure more than half this room have been through trauma, that first that has to heal. But second, it has to come into this power of really the feminine energy of flow. And we often hear the term flow state, and we'll talk a bit more about this in a while, but how do we come into that ability to step back and start to trust ourselves again, to trust our heart, to trust the flow of the universe, to trust that, we are safe here. We are safe to open. We're safe to open our heart, and we're safe to be open with others because we're held in the space of not just unconditional love, but to me the up-leveling is the multidimensional love or cosmic love that we're held within, that now we can express ourselves and not be harmed and hurt. And that's the space that I see is being transformed right now, that we're starting to feel safe to open and to allow this flow to happen and find like-minded souls that we can open with. And that to me is really part of this consciousness movement of finding this like tribe so we can be open to then be that in the world.
Great, thank you. And Maura, she comes from a corporate background as well in business and sales management, but she let it all go to pursue her passion of spirituality, service, nature, travel, and study with the masters, swamis, and teachers. So she's now integrating those worlds. You'll find her emceeing at many of the prominent conferences, festivals, and events, and she also helps co-produce. She co-produced the film 3 Magic Words. She helps Leaders Causing Leaders and One Love Festival. She's been on the staff with Nassim Harriman, Debbie Ford, Byron Katie, and she's just an all-around amazing goddess. So, Maura, would you give us your perspective on what's going on here with Women's Consciousness Revolution?
Thank you, sweetheart.
Yes.
And yay, such sisters. And one thought I had when I sat down and looked out was each woman in this room is right up here with us. Because every woman has such a beautiful sparkle to share. And as I looked at this, I thought, each one offers, I love everything that everyone is sharing because it's all another reflection, another perspective, and it's all true. It's all awesome. I feel that one of the things I love most about the divine feminine and this new consciousness is the aspect of trust. trust has been huge in my life. Really trusting whatever's happening, really trusting our intuition, and giving a lot of trust to the universe, giving trust to the divine. And with that, comes forgiveness naturally, or sometimes a little more of an opportunity to grow. And yet also, when we're really in that trust of knowing we are divinely guided, of knowing that there are no accidents. One thing cute that just popped in when Byron Katie had her quote-unquote awakening, people would come up to her and say, namaste, namaste. She'd never heard that. And she thought everyone was saying, no mistake, no mistake. And she's like, exactly, no mistake. So she'd give it back, because that was her experience in her coming. And there's no mistake that we're all here right now, sharing this joy and light. And I am honored and loved that women get to truly start expressing themselves from the heart. That we get to let our beauty shine, whatever that means for us. And I love for some women that's wearing no makeup. For other women that's every kind of makeup or enhancement. Whatever is beautiful for that woman. I actually go to Burning Man. And I'm at a very spiritual camp called Red Lightning. And it's fascinating to me and inspiring to see all the flavors that come out of expression and that it's all beautiful. Every flavor. And when we see someone, as you've said, that's in pain, or we see someone in joy, just expressing the entire spectrum and knowing that each is on their path. So I love you all. It's awesome to be here together, and such a joy to be with each one of us. Namaste.
Thank you, Maura.
Namaste.
And Annalise Balfour is an inspirational speaker, counselor, writer, producer, and health educator here on Earth to remind humanity to remember who we really are. Especially, she teaches how we humans can heal from the effects of fear. She's currently a producer on the TV show Real Music Live, an evolved TV platform that honors the timeless tradition of real musicians performing a large audience. And she's now writing 2 books, most recently Radical Gratitude, Healing Cancer with a Smile on Your Face and Hair on Your Head, teaching her own personal story. Annalise.
Thank you, Debbie. I feel bliss right now, and I felt bliss for the last few months, but it's grown even more. I'm just like overflowing. I don't even have to say anything really, because you all said it already, and you're going to say it. So, but I want to say that the women's revolution for me is really our spiritual awakening that all of humanity is going through, because that is an awakening to truth, and that is to remembering who we really are. So that would obviously include principles of the divine feminine and love, that we are love. The truth is love. And when you're in love, you feel this radical gratitude that I've always lived in gratitude, but it's been taken to the next level when I had a life-threatening illness. I became grateful for every little thing, a snuggly blanket, a cup of tea, or a kind person. I'm just overwhelmed, and I want to share that with everyone. If you can live like that, you can live in bliss. I let go of having to change the world or save the world, or even having to write books, or even have to endlessly research. I let go of it all so we can just be, because it's so simple, right, Devojananda? It's simple. We just rest in love and gratitude, and then things come to you. We're receiving. The miracles are natural. You got to get out of your own way and remove all doubt so that the natural flow of the universe can flow to you. And it's been a long process. It's a hard haul. We've all been brainwashed here on this planet, and it's challenging and brutal, but we're the star seeds that have come here to liberate humanity. I really feel that, and I believe the big, powerful mama, the mother bear, the Leo lion has to come in and save the children. Because what's being exposed right now in this women's consciousness, divine feminine revolution is all the pedophilia that's been infiltrating this planet for many years, and it has to stop. And we have to rise in our power. We have to remember we are powerful, eternal, spiritual beings, where ultimately we don't even have to worry about that because everything is perfect and everything is working out. But the fact that it's coming up right now, I believe, is part of this divine mother coming in. It's like, whoa, this has got to stop. We're transforming this planet as a group. All the people are rising up and remembering the true power, and it's we who will take the power back. We can govern ourselves. We can affect disclosure. Disclosure is us. We don't have to wait for the government to do it. They're already here. I always say the scary aliens are already here on planet. You don't have to worry about anything coming down or anywhere else. So we are the star seeds and the divine inspiration to come in and shake the planet up a little bit, and then teach peace by living it, by living in this radical gratitude. So I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, and thank you for all of you and for organizing this, and to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annalise. And Jen Healy is another example of a deeply empowered divine feminine. She's a master practitioner, advanced body therapies. Jen started out in the hard sciences with an advanced degree in physics and engineering. And then while she was in grad school 20 years ago, she had a profound spiritual awakening that dramatically changed her outlook on life and her career direction. Through a series of major injuries, she went through a quest to find real solutions and alternatives to bring humans back to optimal and radiant health. She is dedicated to the advanced healing arts through a blending of somatics, meditation, and spirituality with sciences. She's the co-founder and CEO of Zen Healing and Healing Technologies, and she offers over 18 years of bringing together the best information excellence in quantum energetics, energy management, advanced body therapy, conscious movement, empowerment, and evolutionary practices. Jen, what would you like to share with us?
Oh, thank you so much, Debra. It's really quite an honor to be here, I just have to say, in general, for me personally, but just right now on the planet, it's just such a tremendous opportunity to bring forth these energies, and that first and foremost extends to this beautiful panel. I really do feel honored, and I deeply respect the responsibility to come forth as an empowered feminine, particularly as a woman, but I also like the idea of bringing back into balance both the masculine and feminine and birthing the new human on the planet. And I welcome each person to gather those gifts within themselves. And I personally feel like it's coming through embodiment. I find health and healing and wellness essential to us showing up on the planet in a big way. And I particularly like helping the big kids. It's so easy to love the little puppies and the children. I have to say, they're great. But taking care of the big kids and awakening the courageous inner child in each one of us that needs to come out and play. And remember the importance of joy, because love, hey, there he is, speaking of. So love is one of those words, and the frequency of love has been used and sometimes misused over the years. And so I find coming back to unconditional joy is so important in my play practices and what I offer through the quantum playground and yoga swings, and taking sacred geometry and my love for physics and integrating that with the healing arts in a way that makes it fun. So I used to be very serious, and now I try to have some serious fun and lighten up about all this, right? And so I like to just offer as many tools as possible and show up as a living embodied example of this empowered, radiant strength, and that's what I see in each and every one of you. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be here, coming back into harmony and balance with the masculine and feminine and what that means for us at this time. I just would love to hear from Dr. Sarah again, because I know we have a lot in common. So I'm going to pass it on.
Thank you, Jen. And we get to hear from Sarah again, which is wonderful. She's a medical, intuitive medium, psychic, scientific strategist. She offers clear guidance coaching to live miraculous life and insights into the Eastern and Western philosophy. Dr. Larson is considered one of the world-leading authorities on human behavior, Eastern and Western medicine, and personal development. She and her husband, Greg Larson, co-host Miracle Makers broadcast on UBN Network that touches the lives of over 2.8 million people. She has a YouTube channel that reaches over 500,000 viewers. Subscribers have access to some of the most influential people in the world. Thank you, Sarah.
It's so fun for me to be here with everyone. It's extraordinary, and you especially in the room. Embodying the divine feminine and what's coming forth on our planet. Everything that's waking up is inviting us, inviting you to embrace the shadow. If we will take a moment and just fully get grounded in this, what's happening on the planet is an invitation for us to be transparent and forgiving of ourselves and forgiving of anything that has in the past kept us in fear. The only transformation that we can experience in an energy field, if we're never created, if we're never destroyed, if we're only more organized, if we can radically embrace the parts of ourselves that don't make us laugh, that we see as not serving us in the moment, or that we see in a manner that would keep us from being able to recognize fully the gifts that are available. We know everything's in balance. You know that for yourself. When you're in balance, when you're balanced, when you're treating every thought as light and dark, as good and bad, and releasing it, and loving whatever came, wherever it came from, you are in, whatever you are, you're in the divine feminine. You receive it. You love it. And you send it, hopefully with a lunch, out into the world. What I mean by that is with evidence of your love. Whatever comes to you, let it always leave you better for having met your energy. And truly believe, fully believe you don't stop when you no longer have this physical form right here to transmit with. So I'm so grateful you guys are here, and I'd love to invite you to receive all of yourself. So we're sitting up here. I'd love for you to take a moment and hug yourself. Like, to fully bring this in. And Debra, we didn't get to hear about you. Is someone going to introduce you and share all that you do?
Okay, I will share a bit. Well, I definitely came on the planet to rock and roll. I had an awakening as a teenager and really got that I was here to serve the transformation. And I started the Harmony Festival at 22 years old in Santa Rosa, California. That went on for 33 years. That was a major gathering of peace, love, and harmony and the feminine principle. It was a concert. We had major entertainers like Erykah Badu, Damon Marley, Lauryn Hill, Starship. So it was a big rock and roll concert. But we also had speakers like Michael Beckwith, George Norrie, Bruce Lipton, and then we also had environmental. We were the first Eco Village Festival, and we were the first one to host a Goddess Grove, where we brought all the divine feminine together for entertainment and exhibits and sharing. We had things for the children. We honored indigenous wisdom. And in 2011, there was 30,000 people on the grounds. It was peace and love. It was amazing. And that transitioned, and so I transitioned that to an online platform. So now I have a subscriber base of 200,000 on my combined list. I put out an e-newsletter and a website, Debra Recommends, which is every kind of information. It's mostly focused in the North Bay, as well as Harmony Connects, that talks about all the different conferences and festivals and all that. Debra Recommends is about all kinds of workshops and spiritual things. And Transforming into the New Paradigm is a list and a website that's all about the cutting edge of what's coming through right now. So I'm a dedicated light worker and love the feminine. And just, you know, when Saeed invited me to do this, it was a big yes to be here, because that's what needs to happen now. So thank you. Yeah. So we're going to go a bit deeper into this conversation now. And really, the first question I'd like to ask is really, let's talk about what the feminine principle is. We've thrown some things around here, but what is feminine principle and what is feminine power? And how does it show up different than maybe the norm in our society? What is a little bit different about that? And what is living those values and outcomes? And what is the outcome that would be different from employing the feminine principle? And the kind of values we're talking about is living in a heart-centered way and operating in a heart-centered way on everything, including business. Can you imagine if all business was coming from the heart? How that would be a different world. And nurturing and healing, and having that a valued component of how we live our society, how we run our governments, that nurturing and healing is a basis for how we run our world. And what about honoring the whole instead of the pyramid structure that seems to be ingrained in our corporate structures in our society? How would that be different? And how would we have a different outcome in the world? High-level collaboration. The feminine principle knows how to come in circle and work together. That's what they know, because they raise families and they deal with kids and making everything work, and that's ingrained in the feminine principle, in the woman and in all of us. Abundant creativity is part of the feminine, as well as authentic communication, speaking truth. And this is an important one, allowing the flow of spirit instead of just the rigid agenda. The rigid agenda is really good for laying it out, but allowing flow and spirit to come through, as well as deep intuition to guide how you manifest and how you create and how you lead forward. And of course, as we've said, operating in the frequency of love. So I'd love the panel to take maybe 1, 2, 3, or whatever they want to say from their heart on these subjects, and really honor and talk more about these feminine principles and how they work in the world. And we're going to do this popcorn. It looks like Eden wants to go first.
It's there, so I'll speak. So one of the things that I've noticed about this feminine principle that I'm really embodying, and with my husband as well, John, we, just like many people here, we also do work in tandem together in partnership. And I've seen how he works, how I work, and also sometimes it's flipped, that I'm very much the masculine doer, and he has to remind me, hey, be in your heart, get out of your head. But what I really noticed that's really helped is, most of us were raised, and this world is a very much doing, pushing this. We want to go do something, we have to make it happen and make the phone calls and do our things on social media and go brainstorm and especially in the business world, right? Or whatever project and endeavor we may be all doing. But for example, right now I'm actually working with a client who's in New York, and he is a beautiful musician, works at Saturday Night Live and all those things to produce music, but is very doing and go and pushing all his projects. And it's like, whoa, we have to completely flip that model. And for me, any project now that I envision, or a retreat center we're building, or a trip that we want to fill, or whatever it is, or a business we want to launch, is instead of the laundry list of every to-do that we all have in our day-to-day lives, right? It's the flip of, first, let's check in with the heart. Is this in the flow? I never do a project now or never launch something creatively unless I feel it in my heart first. Am I being called into this? And it's surrendering to that and opening, and then visioning. We all know how to manifest here. We're all familiar with a lot of different ways to manifest. But coming into that heart space of, is this in alignment with what I'm meant to do, or divine channel, however you want to call it? Is this my destiny to do? And then I feel that in my heart space, right? And feeling into that. And then from there, what am I envisioning? What am I attracting into this feminine spin, this feminine creation energy that needs to be birthed? And then from there are going to be steps we need to take. There is going to be action. That's the Western world we live in. But it's, again, starting from the heart place and starting from this flow place of seeing, envisioning, and manifesting whatever it is you're up to, and then going to the action steps after. I mean, I know there's a lot of areas of feminine energies here we could talk about, but that to me is one key piece now of bringing in this feminine principle in everything we do. And we're seeing it in organizations. My husband right now is working with a company that's going into like Airbnb and different companies, and they're starting to look at, whoa, how do we shift what we're doing because this doesn't work? Things start to fall apart when everyone's in this hyperactive do, go. Everyone gets burnt out and exhausted, and that doesn't work for humanity anymore. We have the health issues we do. We have the personal crises we're doing because we're constantly trying to push ourselves in this masculine energy, men and women alike. So how, again, do we come back into the flow state? There's a famous book right now about that, but the flow state of who we are and how we operate in the world from this divine alignment where you show up everywhere on time, in perfect timing because you're in the flow. The right people get attracted to you because you're in the right flow, because you've set your intention, your heart is open to receive that. And life becomes so much more fluid because you're not having to push your way uphill anymore. It just naturally flows. And to me, that is the beauty of coming into that space of the feminine.
Great. Thank you so much. Annalise or Michelle?
I was just going to add to that my whole life I was chastised for the way that I operated in time, really out of time, which is the time of no time. And a lot of people in my life were angry with me because I always seemed to go at my own pace and with the flow, but it always seemed like it was the perfect time. So I feel like I can let my shoulders down right now and say, wow, I'm so grateful that we're all coming into that knowing that it is the perfect time, it is divine time, that we can all be here together sharing this space. And the panel didn't start right on the money when we were supposed to, but everybody seemed to entrain to the perfect time. And there was no stress, no worry. We didn't have furrowed foreheads. We all showed up with just these sparkly, happy faces to see each other and be here. And no one in the audience seemed put off if we were too late. And Sarah graciously, went with the flow of time. I think that what we're doing right now is actually embodying what that principle of being in the magic time is all about. So thank you for bringing that up, and I'm so glad we're all here now.
And Annalise?
I just wanted to mention briefly, because I'm going through this health adventure, that I think the divine feminine principle in society, the transformation we're going to see, is that alternative care, which is holistic care, which is a divine feminine principle, you consider all things, you consider all beings, you consider all parts of the body when you're healing, is going to become regular health care, and then the Western allopathic medicine, that will be alternative care. My point was that you have to heal all systems. You can't just remove a tumor and get chemotherapy and radiation and expect to be well. You have to figure out why you're ill and heal all those systems. Maybe your thyroid's low, maybe you have heavy metal poisoning, maybe you have a root canal that's bad, and there's all these little elements, and you must heal your heart. And forgiveness, which I think is a human principle, but it also seems very feminine too, because when you're a mother, you forgive your children no matter what they do. You love them no matter what. So those two things, healing the healthcare system and embodying forgiveness in our everyday lives.
Thank you, and Sarah?
That's so beautiful, and it's such a powerful thing to really understand what happens to us. Our physical bodies is a representation of what's happening out there. So the cancer in a body is a representation of our oneness as a cancer. There are studies geographically of what happens in particular regions, particular zones, but we know fully that we found receptors out in the environment. Everything has an antidote to it within a few feet. we know through sacred geometry, so is above, so is below. For us to believe and know and take care of this vessel, this body, with the understanding that it's never outside us as well. The healing that's happening, the wholeness that's happening is all within here, and everything that's happening out there is happening within us. The more of us that have accepted what's happened before, the more we are able to heal our physical bodies, and everyone have access to that. Eckhart Tolle talks about an evolutionary biologist who said one flower popped, and then it took 10,000 years before another flower blossomed. 10,000 years, and now we have flowers everywhere. And what I know is we are the flowers of consciousness. We are the flowers. And for us to fully get, there's nothing out there that we can't heal by being in here, time-wise, connected to the heart. And every physical manifestation in here is a representation of something that's happening out there. Everything that's happening out there, the stars, the full moon, is having
The Golden Divine. And for me, it's about taking the spiritual principles and infusing them with the scientific so that we feel like they're really grounded. And that's why I love sacred geometry and understanding the body and using the body as that holographic representation of the whole. And what's coming to mind, you guys all are so brilliant, so beautiful. What you shared is the resonance and alignment, really feeling that and knowing that there's a conversation that happens in my head, let's talk about me, and then there's a conversation that happens in my heart. And they're two very different conversations, particularly around time, because I happen to be on time all the time. So I'm like, oh, time. And we have different relationships to these structures, but then it's all in divine timing, and it's all part of the divine plan when we open up to the place of the holistic thinking and the unity consciousness instead of the polarity, right? And that's what we're talking about, is really embracing all those aspects and coming into the grace and ease. And I think people can relate to this, and this relatedness that the feminine brings for both males and females is to understand that it is really grounded and it's really structured so that it can be spontaneous. So there's flexibility in it, but it definitely has the container for it to grow. And that's why it's so important for it to come into balance and harmony. So the harmonic coding is the amplification of those two seemingly opposite things that are constructively interfering and becoming more. And I think that's the importance of understanding the power of the masculine and feminine and how they are coming into resonance. And that's what we're experiencing here. And what a joy it is to be on a panel like this, all coming back into balance within our own individual self. And this is how innovation happens. This is how we progress and move forward, both in sciences. That's why I brought together like spirituality and physics, and then brought together the technologies and the healing arts. These things when people are like, you're crazy, what are you doing? What do you mean quantum healing? What's that? And now, 20 years later, it's everywhere. We're seeing that is really the growth, and that is really how we expand.
Great, beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else? We're ready for the next question.
I'll say it quickly. Yeah, we might as well just shout out a few things. Something that came to me is I feel the divine feminine is, and especially all these goddesses, is so much about giving. We love to give. And as mothers, or I'm a fairy mama, or each woman, whatever ways she mothers in the world, a lot of that love is giving, the joy of really sharing. And yet, as a divine feminine, it's also to receive. And that beautiful flow of giving and receiving and giving others the gift to give. And I know that's a big one for me, is to truly receive. And we all have wombs of that receiving and letting the masculine have that place, but also, to find the balance. And I think of some of the people that really are amazing, examples, Amma, who hold the divine feminine, where she is so powerfully living unconditional love and unconditional giving and unconditional, just, it's not even about her, but what comes through her. And I think that's where we all just really if we all just let that gift come through us, whatever that may be. And on that note, one of my favorite things to do is just encourage everyone, as Sarah had them give hugs to ourselves. Will everyone just take one moment, close your eyes, and take a nice deep breath. And feel your heart. Really feel your heart. And now breathe out from that heart space. Now one more deep breath and breathe into the heart space. And just feel your heart connected to everyone in this room, to your loved ones, and to all, that we truly are one, that it's not just some new age phrase. And go ahead and open your eyes and smile. You've got the divine feminine.
Thank you. Beautiful.
I love that there's so much talk about balance, because I think that being in a group of women with such hearts of surrender, but with such gifting and developed in each of our unique offerings to the world, one of the reasons that we're able to do that is an increased balance within ourselves. And the other day, was talking a little bit about the marriage of sovereignty and surrender. And as we are rising as the feminine, it's really important not to swing over to that place where we are trying to fight for our sovereignty, but that we are surrendering and accepting what is, not only in ourselves, but what is in front of us. And as we surrender, we're able to step deeper into our sovereignty because we're no longer in resistance. And so I love this balance. It's so important that we strike this balance.
Yes, I agree. What was coming to mind with everyone speaking is that I think the importance of the mental plane, where I find a lot of the masculine and also, women that have embodied a lot of masculine, is the importance of shifting out of the mental plane into the feeling. This is about a feeling. We are really bringing forth in this world how important it is to be connected to your feeling center, to your second chakra, to your intuition. And so the shift for me in everyone's lives and in this whole planet is about honoring the feeling, and the flow is what we talk about. So I'm seeing that people that are really in tune are operating on all fronts. So mental and the emotional, as well as the physical. It is this holistic piece that we all strive for. So I think as a society, as really a species, where do we put our attention? If it's on material things outside of ourselves, because that is what's brought us, this self-worth. So as an entire species, we are shifting what we see as worth, because it's us. And love is worth more than anything in this world. And so I think that's the big shift that I've seen. So I think we've all seen the same thing. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Wonderful. So now let's take this up to the next level of feminine leadership. So how would the world be different if we really empowered all these values in our governance, in our leadership, in our co-creation? And if we think back on times in the planet where there was thousands of years of peace, and we called it a matriarchy, so there's something there. And especially now, why is this so important in the world? And how would it affect our families, communities, and global realities? So I'd like you to go in deeper of identifying the phenomenon of women stepping into their leadership and how important this is. Acknowledging what just happened with the Women's March, with what's happening on the planet as people are stepping up and saying, no, we don't want what we see coming down the turnpike. We want something that unifies us, that really cares for us all. So speak more to that. You've got the mic, Heather.
Like, yes. We actually interviewed a wonderful matriarch in our lives, and many of you might know her, Barbara Wilder, who wrote an incredible book called Money is Love. And what she talked about a little bit the other day was not a matriarchal society, but a matrilineal society, where there was, I feel like, bringing this forward into a new paradigm